song? Feel. This is an old Macedonian song. Yes. Song from Galichnik, a little place in the mountains in Macedonia, and we tried to play a little bit differently.
Very nice. Hi, Miki. Miki, it's a pleasure meeting you in person. You have truly become widely known, and from my understanding, you originate from Macedonia, and you have moved here to Canada. Now, from who you are today, what really inspired you to pick up on music?
We can't go back too much in memory. Like I remember when I was maybe 3 or 4, but I remember enough when my father bought me a shupalka, it's called, Macedonian name, which is like a sort of flute. And I wanted to buy this. Look, we went to a store, and he says, "What do you want me to get you?" I said, "Well, shupalka." Anyhow, that's how I started it. So meaning the parents are very important to notice the talent. Or which I guess I had it.
The motivation.
And after that I went to music school because I guess it came easy to me. But that was the first my memory of music. And later was accordion, I guess. It was tough. We couldn't afford piano, I guess, but I was accepted at the music school. And at that time in former Yugoslavia, you had to audition to get into school. They weren't private lessons. And my father followed that system very well. He says they are not allowed private lessons, so that means you had to audition. It was only one music school in Skopje, and at that time Skopje had about 250,000, something like that, and only a certain number of students were accepted. It's called 10-godišnje muzičko učilište.
Okay.
Which was like you went to a public school, and then at the same time you went to music school.
Right.
And then we did tour Macedonia. We played Bitola, Prilep, Kavadarci, all the towns in Macedonia.
Right.
And I played cello, and that was my first actually more with now outside of the the jury that marked me when I played the piano.
So that's just a personal choice.
Yeah, and that probably created something. Probably, even though I wasn't aware, I know I liked it.
Yeah.
And because it was amazing, all the sound you hear, the orchestra, and you see people there, packed rooms, schools, and they applaud for you, and you feel good. And then, it was easy for me, I think. And that was the first performance in front of somebody that I never met before.
Did anyone else inspire you? Maybe musicians?
Eventually, it was my brother.
Right.
My brother studied in Zemun, which is near Belgrade. It's a suburb at that time. I'm not sure, maybe it's an independent city these days. But he went there in a middle school, they call it here, like a technical school, traffic school. He was in a band called Kristali in Zemun, and they did very well there. And I remember I was like maybe 13, 14, and he will come back from there and he will say, they had some pictures. I showed the pictures to all my friends there. Look, my brother is in a band. And at the same time, the music developed in the Western world, and which is particularly the English, the British band became very popular. At that time, actually, there was some Italian music. Like, there was a Yugoslavian program at that time. We watched Italian TV. And there were some British bands that sang in Italian, in fact. So, if you analyze things that happened before, I can't say it for certain, because at the moment, I wasn't aware of that. Right now I want to analyze, and I wish I can analyze more in details and find out why and what.
But what really picked you up to do jazz and rock? Because your compositions are mostly
Well, this is a confusion start. See, what probably a huge boost for me to be interested in music was studying music, history of music. And history of music, we learned that, particularly in Macedonia, so Serbia had some, Croatia has a little bit more Krajinac they had it there, But Macedonia didn't have any musicians. Like, once you start, you see, not to forget, I studied the classical music. I studied the history, the harmony, the solfeggio, the writing music, and all that. Therefore, always bothered me that there was no one from that region in history of music. And that was probably a huge boost for me to get
To
more, and to do it the way I thought, the way it's normal. And we have to interpret things the way we do, because a teacher just conveys a knowledge. Doesn't mean the teacher is the one that created it. And that the student should take that knowledge and do it its way. That's how I thought, and I still think like that.
But did you prefer one style more than the other?
Yeah, any style is good style. As I said, with the jazz, being jazz more with creativity attached. See, rock has certain patterns. Any other commercial music has certain patterns that as a musician I can sort of tell you. Because there are about 3 basic things in music. The melody, the harmony, and the rhythm. There are other things, maybe another 7 there or something like that. But once these 3 things you can sort of comprehend and understand, it's really easy to know what they do. Therefore, for me that's not a big challenge, but as a business, sure. I mean, I've done a lot of those, which I can analyze and I tell you what they do. I mean, I've done albums for Vietnamese people, for Irish people, for Italian guy here, Mimo Lari. It was a big success. And in fact, they had an interview on radio. I was teaching and they called here to tell me to listen. Now, anyway, my wife listened to it, so they asked Mimo is a well-known name in the community, Italians. They asked him, who did this all this? There's actually, did you bring somebody from Napoli? He goes, no, the guy is from Mississauga. Oh, it doesn't matter, it's a nice Italian guy. He's not Italian, it's Macedonian. Like, anyway, it's not bad.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, like, once you learn in school, when you learn, which I did, once you learn what music is made of, it's easy to analyze, therefore do the styles that exist in music. So therefore, I mean, I like commercial music, depends which one. But most of it these days, there's not much creativity because they are focusing too much on how much money you can make.
Profitable.
And the right people actually are, pulling back and they're retiring or they're not playing anymore. In fact, I know a few friends of mine, great musicians, they're not playing anymore.
So
with me, it's like I teach a lot.
So money and business is good. It's a
Money
big influence.
money can hurt art. Oh
Yes.
yeah, definitely. It's not bad. I mean, I'm not against it, of course.
Right.
But it can hurt because if the first primary focus is let's make money with this music, then the musician is focusing how can I make money with this instead of how can I make a good song. So it's like sometimes it's like what came first, the egg or the chicken? I don't know. I'll go first with music. Then if it's business, hey, great.
So Miki, your love for rock and jazz is no secret to us. But how did you put that into work? How did you compose? From my understanding, you have performed with groups and solo. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, as I said, like with rock music as a popular music, and it's if I compare it to jazz, it's a lot simpler, which with my stories, with my education, and connected with experience, it's pretty simple. I mean, as I said, I like commercial music. Jazz evolves. It's based on knowledge. It's based on how much the musician works at it. Based on new stuff that happens in the society. New stuff so that affects rock music, of course. But the difference is in jazz music, primarily for me, it's in instrumental venue, which is direction, which is I can express my whatever I think at the moment. My conscious and subconscious can deal with instrumental music much better than vocal music. The vocal music frames you because you have to follow the lyrics, because the lyrics tell you a story. Nothing wrong with that, but it's different.
You can be more creative
with instrumental, definitely. But one has to be very flexible, because either very flexible or you can be a hero, I guess. I don't know. But if you are very stubborn and just do what you think is good, and then you might be a name in history, but way down. If this planet survives the global warming, all this stuff, I don't know, I'm not against it, but it's one should be aware in this, if you're in music business, you have to be a little more flexible. You shouldn't forget your being, but you should also be flexible, meaning you have to make a living. So with me, that's what I've been doing.
So what are your significant performances with
Well,
groups and solo? And
Well, if I go back, like I've done a lot of stuff here. I did a lot of miles, I played with a lot of miles. We toured all over Ontario and all that. But for some other reasons, financial in fact, it didn't work out, so I quit. Then I've done a lot of names, but this is a big name at that time. When I came here, one of the intentions for me, one of the reasons to move was music. And you know, if you say why, it's if a place has problems with, I can give a story. All my keyboards, I used to have 7 keyboards. I bought them all in England because you couldn't find them. In former Yugoslavia, you couldn't find them. Not to blame the country, of course not. You know, country had other problems. But then you had to go somewhere else to buy this equipment. And you need tools to build that building. You need tools.
you were restricted.
You see, exactly. So anyway, I dealt with it, and so other people did the same thing. But then, you see, to exist in a society, like, but I don't know, but you know, I know in music, there are sociological, financial, political reasons, few other factors probably that affect ones. So, because I know we can talk, primary thing will be, why did you move? Because many people ask me. Like somebody, you know, the consul of Macedonia a few years ago, I played in Ottawa for the, anniversary. And he said to me, now you're not famous, but you have money. Which is, well, yes and no. Like, you know, a lot of people are famous here too, I know. But financially, they suffer. Meaning they like to be famous.
Right.
And for other reasons, I don't know. It's okay, I'm not against it or whatever, but that's a different section that fame doesn't not necessarily means money. No. So, but some people enjoying that. Anyhow, when I did in Macedonia, former Yugoslavia actually, in Skopje, the Macedonian Republic of Yugoslavia.
Right.
As I said, when I started studying music, when I learned more about the musicians' life, big names in music, always bothered me that there were none in Macedonia, and that bothered me always. That was probably the biggest force for me to get involved, even more. So anyway, I did, talking about politics, we did first musical in Macedonia with Aljosha Simjanovski, who starts some movies, movie director, a good friend of mine. And we did everything, and it was all free. Like nobody pays you for this, just for pure love of music. And it was the first Macedonian musical at that time. And I'm not sure, probably was even in the other big cities in former Yugoslavia. I don't think they had original made. I can challenge. I don't know the history of that, but I know it was something new. And then we had rehearsals and everything. So when it came down to be finalized on the stage, we need scenography, and scenography costs money. And then we were prevented because of some, I don't know, some stupid political reasons. Because the musical was called The Dream of a Professor of History. And in his dream, he had all these personalities from history. Like, and Tito was in the dream. Tito, we had like Caesar, we went back. Alexander the Great, went all over, you know. King Peter. So, and they were all this, and they have like a žurka, it's called, right? Žur, which is a party. So, and they're all there, and it's we had characters from literature, like Romeo and Juliet. So it was very interesting, actually. It was very funny, actually. It was comedy. But they thought that was some kind of political whatever, and they stopped us after 3 months' work. Anyhow, so I know that these things happen, and I don't want to get too political. But it was primarily, you know, I'm sure they had reasons. So that was one thing. Another thing that I started doing instrumental music, I said, and I played quite few bands. I mean, I don't know if I should have mentioned all of them, but one of them that was very important, it was an instrumental band, was Breg, where Vlatko and Garo, and these are names in Macedonia, in the Balkans, they started playing. Garo was in a band before that called Plameni, and I know Garo had a lot of energy and all that, and he had talent. My brother was friend with some of the members of this band, what Garo was. That's how I know Garo. With Vlatko, I went to school with his brother, Goran Stefanovski, and he actually he became writing there theater, because Vlatko's father was a director in the theater, and his mother was used to be an actress. So anyway, that's how I met Vlatko, and plus he was named neighbor with my first cousin. Anyhow, that's how Vlatko came, and I think he was starting some band. I didn't know that at the time, and then that's how Break came, and we did instrumental music. So we did the first show by camera, like portable, like this camera, which was huge at that time. All the cameras were big, on a tripod, huge. But this was a small portable camera, and director was Kola Angelovski. And Kola Angelovski, I hope he's still fine, I'm not sure, I don't follow, but he used to be at the theater, he was director. He was a big star as a kid. He was Boško Buha in the movies. You know, after the Second War, Yugoslavia had a lot of movies about the Second War, and I love those movies. So Kola was a child star. So Kola was the first guy who brought that camera in Macedonia, in Skopje. And anyway, they recorded Breg in instrumental music. I wish I had the tape. I asked you people, I don't know, they don't keep track, I guess. So anyway, Kola became a musical, like he did the show, and this was broadcasted all throughout the whole country at that time, Yugoslavia. And then Smak, same time, coincidentally, there was this great guy, he's not with us anymore, Lazar Vistovski. He was playing keyboard for Smak, but he went for Belo Dugme. And Belo Dugme were a money machine band. They made a lot of money. And they were very smart. That guy, Goran Bregovic, very smart. He's a business guy. Musically, I don't know, but very smart. So we just say, can't blame the guy. Anyway, Lazo went to that band. Smak was considered, they had one record, I think, they did okay, but Smak was, people expected them to be more musical and sort of torture, great talent, you know, playing more instrumental solos and all that.
Right.
So anyway, they asked me to join them. Was because they saw me on TV, what Kola did, it's all connected. So anyway, I accepted it, and I spent 2 years with Smak. Did very well. And this is a time where people were talking about some changes will happen in Yugoslavia. And I went to the army. I had to go. When I came out of the army, there were some problems, and it's another story I can tell you anyway, so it didn't work out. Then I joined Lepisol. Lepisol became from Breg, well, Gara and Vlatko, they formed a band and all that. I helped them with their first record. And then when I didn't work out, they had some problems. We had a contract with Belafon from West Germany, and they screwed up something there in England when they were recording. When we signed a contract, see, when you sign a contract with big firm, with any firm, they have a right to do anything with you.
Right.
And they say, they can get interfere how you dress, what you say, who says from the band, what are your lyrics.
Restricted by
Absolutely,
outside.
and that's what big firms do.
Right.
I was the only one that signed a contract with extra, meaning it was a option for me to leave the band anytime I wanted. I didn't, like, I was in the army, I came back, I didn't left the band, but then there were some problems. So anyway, I went to Germany, I saw that there had some troubles, so I left Smak. Then, at the same time, coincidentally, I was staying in a hotel Union, which is in Belgrade. All the musicians were going in this hotel. And there was Lepisol, same night, same day. And then they asked me, because the keyboard player at that time, Coco went to play for the Radio Televizija Skopje, the orchestra. So anyway, I accepted it, and we did some, I don't know, 5-6 concerts. We were in prison, I believe, or somewhere there, in Kosovo somewhere. Pristina maybe, I can't remember. Anyway, right after that, they canceled our tour because Tito's leg was in trouble. And now I go, well, that's fine. I mean, I played for Tito, just myself, before that. I go, okay, well, but my leg is fine, you know, and I can't wait. And all due respect for the people, but you have to survive in this world. And this is how I left. And then there was a guy, American guy, who was in SMUT, who was in Chicago. And I first stayed there 6 months. I was refugee actually in Canada. Then I stayed there for about 6 months. Things changed. I have a brother, my brother lives here. And then I moved up here. So that's how that ended. So, and then not long after that, all the troubles started in Yugoslavia. Oh, everybody knows that.
So music certainly influenced your life, your personal life,
Well,
in terms of where you want to live and where you can...
Well, the guidance is, as I said, for me, who knows if I was going to leave. You know what? We're all free on this planet. You should go anywhere. Why would somebody say you can't?
Right.
If I say I have the money to stay in this country, why would I say you can't? Why? It exists. It's reality.
So external forces force you to find the better option for yourself.
Some other, probably political. But for me, reason was music.
Right.
Because as I said, I left Skopje because I always bothered me that there is no musician from that region. And I did help Lepi Soul, and I went there and I did soul album and all that. Because not to say, oh, we are the best. No, and the last thing. No, but you deserve. Every nation on this planet deserve to be heard. And if people like it, whatever. If there's a business, great. If there's no business, but nobody should prevent you. And for some reasons, and not to get too political and too historical, because we all know what happened in the Balkans for 500 years and all that stuff. So not to get too political, Macedonia didn't have any recording house. Didn't have it. Beirut had it. And I went there. And I did recording, and then Lebisol did it. And and I was very glad to, not as a nationalistic or whatever, no, the last thing. It's just, you deserve.
Right.
What you are, nothing should prevent you of creating. Nothing should prevent the mind, right? Or working. Nothing. So, and of course you follow the rules. You're not like a terrorist or anything. I'm going to fight all this stuff. No, it's in a normal, civilized way. So, when I came here, I had a band here, and we did very well. Played El Macambo, and we did very well. The band played music that I don't want to say. Like Macedonia has a lot of irregular rhythms. They used to call, now they're hybrid these days anyway in the educational, but the music that the Beast band played, and there was media liked us, and we had some people following all that. It was all not to emphasize myself because I'm from Macedonia. I'm going to do 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. The 7 8 rhythm and all that. It's because that's whatever you grew up. It's a factor because you absorb from the society you are. Therefore, like it or not, you're gonna absorb. Like my kids are born here, and they say, "Well, I'm Macedonian." I go, "That's great if you want, but you were born in Canada, and that's if you want to be Macedonian, wait until you're 18, go take citizenship. But you're born in that country. Like for me, I came from Yugoslavia. My passport is Yugoslavian, and that's what I am. Of course, I'm Macedonian down the south, but that's the country. Meaning, wherever you grow up, you bring this. Like, how do we get influence? We influence in school. First, it's at home. But in this country particularly, kids spend 8-9 hours a day in school. Your parents can influence at home, but most of the day you are in school, and the school is a huge factor. How they build your character. Same thing over there. I went to school. They taught us I studied recreation twice a week. And I'm glad I can speak Slovenian very well, or Croatian, doesn't matter. So it's, you're born in a country, you follow that, and you try to adapt. Doesn't mean that they take your identity. No. You show your identity. By work, particularly in art, in music, particularly if there's no words, it's easier. Because you can convey a message.
Right.
I just did the album for this Jamaican person, born here, background Jamaican. In his recording, in every song that I did motifs from former Yugoslavia. There was a song he does jazz, I go, Leši kapetan. Then I did, Ajde, slušaj, o makedonsko.
So it's always
there's a little line. Nobody, and I play to people don't notice. If I tell them, they'll say, oh, that's what it is. So, meaning the identity that it's meaningful for me, it should be for anyone. It's there.
It's always in your music.
Yeah, so it's like in this guy particularly is a jazz musician, therefore I'm glad, because see, you can't do it if a commercial music has such different meaning, different message, then you'll be in a way. So therefore you have to follow that, and I see it more as a business, so I separate them. And one should separate them, yeah.
Do you influence your children into pursuing music as a profession? Do you push them?
You see, when something comes naturally, which is my love to, like, I don't even think of it, do I love music? My brother probably loves music than I do, but that comes to me natural. I never did anything else in my life, anything else but music. It comes natural. So therefore I bring that in my house, of course. Like, I have few pianos here, and the kids grow up like that.
Right.
And I was lucky, they're all talented, they have great ears, they're all perfect pitch. It's amazing. And they all finish grade 10 piano by the time they were 13, which is I'll tell you, I know, I teach a lot. So that's a record.
So those are your other ways of how do you translate your knowledge?
The knowledge that you see, I mean, if I analyze it, say, then whatever I studied at school, I take that and now upgrade it with my take on it. And what's my take on it? It's how I live, what I do extra. Not just graduation, you have the diploma. I have the diploma in my basement.
The experiences.
Yeah, but it's like the university should set you for future. Your mind should be working until 24, 5, whatever it's 30. But then after that, then it starts actually. It doesn't stop when you graduate, no. Many people think I have a diploma. Then you have to, that should help you adapt to the present day.
So Miki, you mentioned that you also teach your children music, and
I did, yeah.
you have a studio downstairs?
Yeah.
So how else what other techniques do you have into giving knowledge to the children?
You see, the part of being musician, and personally myself, I have a lot of experience in playing, performing, writing. I've been in any field. And teaching, when I came to Canada, I was just saying a while ago, I taught a lot of people, I'm sure, back, because the one that I played, some famous people in the Balkans, none of them had that sort of musical knowledge, which you gain in the school. So, and I'm sure many of them they make living out of that, and that's great. So here, when I came to Canada, I had sort of 3 venues in business. One was teaching. Somebody says to me, why don't you teach? You're good at it in a band. I go, I'll try it. Teaching, performing, recording. I remember that very well. And not long after, I was booked in teaching. I go, I guess maybe I have a talent in teaching. And I've been doing teaching for years. And everything else that I adopt, then I go, okay, well, I'm going to go on tour, whatever, and then I have a backup for my teaching or whatever. So, luckily for me, the last 15, 20 years, music changed tremendously. A lot. Therefore, see, there is always kids on this planet.
Right.
There will always be a lesson. And I didn't think of that. For me, it was like amazing. They pay me very good money, and I'm just talking as right now. I go, hey, I'm glad to help.
Yeah, because you know it. And
that probably developed, if I go way back, you see, I've been analyzing this. Like in my music school, I took piano first. Up to grade 7, every year I had a different piano teacher. And
different techniques?
It shouldn't be like, it was supposed to be, you're supposed to have one teacher for 6 years, and then grade 7, 8, 9, 10 piano was a different teacher. Nobody liked me in a sense, I figured out, because I always wanted to do something extra. And seriously, I remember that, I'm playing Mozart, I go, oh, that's a triad. Like a 3 notes makes a triad, not to get technical. But they go, and I will try to do the teacher, tell that what I noticed. They go, no, don't do that. I understand, they know what to do with me. So they will say, oh, maybe give him a different teacher. So that's probably cause for me, made me, I do very well in teaching. Like I've been involved in festivals, and I created a new, sections. In fact, I brought some festivals to Macedonia church here and all that. So, it's like if you analyze it now psychologically, why it happened, it's probably because when growing up. And that's why probably I'm very outgoing in music. I don't hide. I don't say, oh, you're going to have a profit, I won't tell you this. No. I tell you, I find something else. All my life I've been like that. Seriously. In fact, I go, wait a minute, that was maybe a great new chord I found. I'll tell you. Tomorrow I'll find different one.
So what about your future projects? Are you planning
Well,
on...
I'm involved in education more and more. And I'm working on this book that's the business aspect, you know. If I put it up now, it'll be this big. So I have to sort of...
Edit it.
Yeah, see, once again, being flexible, I have to make sure that this can have some, not financial, I don't need that. I mean, well, if it sells, sure, but I don't care. It's not primary thing for me. So, but in order to have people look at it, use it, has to be small. And that's what I'm doing, you know. I have a student that actually has a great company, and he's talking about maybe doing it through the internet. I don't know. I don't want to jinx it in a sense. So usually it's like, you know, I don't want to think for the future project in general because I'm a superstitious sometimes.
So you're looking forward.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
see a bright future, not a failure.
Oh yeah, it's always, if it's nothing there, I'll find something. Oh, yeah. You have to.
Always encouraging.
Oh yeah, I mean you have to find something. You have to find it. It's I'm sure any profession, a lot of people lose jobs. And what? Like you can't be stubborn. You can't say, well, I know this perfect. You gotta be a little bit flexible. That's my opinion. I don't know. Some people, you know,
Adaptive.
you have to. You know, some people, the higher you get, it's easier. Like I went to York University here for jazz as well. I finished 4 years in 2 years, and I graduated in Skopje at Makmedia.ca University. So once you have this sort of knowledge, it's a lot easier to adopt. But they never taught you. They have some courses now about technology, but I was lucky. My father always loved technology, so is my brother. When you know the stereo, when it came first time in Skopje, we had a gramophone, you know, record player. My brother put the head like this, and the speakers, he couldn't believe it. I never forget that picture, because you hear the right side of the orchestra, you hear the left side of the orchestra. That's amazing, you know, at that technology. You can't ignore it. And that's why I've been involved in that. I never learned that from, per se, take a course somewhere, no. It's all being involved with when Minimoog came, or Prophet 5, or Hammond organ, or Roland, or clavinet, or, you know, that was way back with Smack, and actually in Skopje as well, but Smack particularly. I had like a 7 keyboards like this. And we don't.
So technology
that was
is
amazing.
also...
Yeah, it's all part of technology. You can't ignore it.
Right.
It's very important. I find it anyway. And you know, that's once again, right? You graduate something, and now, okay, I'm great. I know this field. No, you don't. It's starting right now because things change so fast, particularly here in this society. So if you don't catch it, if you don't get involved at time, no good.
Right. Thank you, Miki.
You're
It was
very
a
welcome.
wonderful
You're
story.
I want to thank media for all these opportunities, and I hope this will help whoever listens to this.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Miki, and it was nice meeting you.
You're welcome. Thanks.